So after a frustrating result and performance, do you? I get the feeling you'll do exactly the same thing, but do you approach the showing of the good and the bad the same way you would if it was a 4-0 win?
Yeah, of course, dissect everything. I think, obviously everybody, lads included, disappointed on Friday, I think, more so with the performance level, because I'm not sure how many games I've done now, 17, 18. And to be fair, it's the first one where probably start to finish, it was showing that level of inconsistency for such a long period. I think all the games previous to that, the performance level has actually been good and consistent. So, for longer periods, don't get me wrong, there was maybe a half here or there where it wasn't quite the level, but yeah, it was frustrating. And even then, watching it back, there were still flashes of really good moments. Anis's chance was a terrific play, working really hard to get into a good area. There was a few moments first half as well where when we got it right, we caused them problems. It just wasn't consistent enough and we just gave up momentum. So again, I think it's understanding that, it's dissecting it, it's looking at the positives, but also going, we have to be tough on ourselves. We have to hold ourselves accountable to make sure, when we're in that position, in that situation in the future, that we perform to a higher level.
So do you, having had a little bit of time, I'm sure you've watched it again, do you have a sense of what you think wasn't quite right on Friday night?
Yeah, a culmination of things, I think, in terms of, especially them, I'll be totally honest, they're the best side I think we played. I thought, in terms of, I went away and actually had a look at, I quite liked the lad Rutter. I thought he was very good for him, and then saw that he'd cost £35 million. So when you put sometimes things into perspective a little bit, you've got some established Premier League players in that team. So I think, when you look at it, I thought Jules, they were very strong. We didn't come out on top in enough of those, and then it was, I think, the emotional side crept back in. I thought, we gave up momentum a few times, major swings where we were in okay positions, we turn it over cheaply, all of a sudden Max is making a save. So I think that just kind of built the anxiety, that edge, which, rather than staying calm and composed and getting back to basics, we lost our way a little bit. But again, I can't give the lads enough credit for what we've thrown at them. Some of them in terms of the volume of, the information, the work we're giving them. We obviously don't have hindsight of, what they've had previously in their careers. So I know we overload them, but I do believe in terms, if you look at learning, I think you have to take them there to come out the other side at a higher level.
And is that, do you then start seeing what you want to see? Do you know when it's going in and it's not that they're sort of having to process everything, that it's actually becoming second nature? Do you see that sort of naturally on the training ground or hopefully on the pitch? Yeah,
I think you start to see certain bits of it, definitely. I think, I was talking to Hoggy about it. I think there's certain elements where I think they're learning how to play the tactical side that we want. So they're learning to understand their positions and what's required. The next stage, obviously, which we have to get quickly, is learning to win. So again, I think, there's certain bits, like I said, that you can see are now coming out in the game. I think generally defensively we've been very good. And even the other night, of course they had some chances, but quite often that was from, how we manage regains more than being carved open lots of times. So I think, they're definitely progressing. They've definitely soaked up lots of the information we've given them, and now it's, like I said, it's about consolidating that and understanding how we use it to win games.
So for midweek, in terms of squad news, no Cam Pring, he'll be suspended, is that right?
Yeah, no Pringy, no Tails, both suspended, yeah.
Which is, it lessens your opportunities to change things, given that some of the new faces you've been brought into the building you can't use for this match.
Yeah, obviously, Dire's one as well, obviously, because he wasn't registered for the first leg. We can't use him in this one, so yeah, we lose those two lads. Matty James is a question mark. He obviously, to be fair, dug in to get through Friday, carrying a slight knock. Obviously no Dire, so yeah, it lessens the availability of what we've got. But at the same point, it provides opportunity. There's some lads I know that are desperate to get minutes, so it'll be, we'll have to be looking to provide opportunities for those.
Yeah. So midfield, you do have some options. I guess on the left hand side, it's Hayden Roberts, who obviously haven't had a long time out. Is he somebody who just needs a little bit of game time to get back into the groove, because he was struggling a little bit before he got his injury?
Yeah, Hayden's one I know has been frustrated, but some of it's the situation, right? I think, obviously when we came in, he was out for quite a period of time. Then when you get back in, like I said, we've not had opportunities to train a huge amount to see him in 11v11, and also you get people that are in credit. So the back line had been doing pretty well. We were in good rhythm, consistent, performances. So I think, yeah, it's about biding your time. I think that's being a professional. Do you know what I mean? I think you have to make sure your head's in a good spot. Physically, you're in a good spot. You understand your role and everything that's asked of you. So when you do get the opportunity, you're ready to step in and show what you can do.
That, I guess, brings a little bit of pressure with it as well, in terms of you want to come in and make a big impact, and sometimes certain positions, it's not always about that. It's about doing your job.
Yeah, 100%. I think you're spot on. I think it's not about going and chasing wow moments and trying to be an 8 or 9 out of 10. I think it's start by being a 6 or 7, and then produce the wow moments when needed. Don't go and try and force them on the game. So again, I think that'll be the big bit. For lads stepping in that haven't had that opportunity, is do the basics really well. Show that you've been listening, you've been learning, whilst maybe not playing the minutes that you want, and then obviously do what's required.
I guess the only potential positive is injured players sort of getting closer. Are any of those in contention for Wednesday?
Not for Wednesday, no. Not for Wednesday. Again, the other challenge is obviously not training, is obviously being able to do large area sessions and the volume of sessions to get people back to speed quickly. So there's no new additions from that perspective. We have got more bodies that are available now for full training, but when you've been out for a period, you need to get a load of work in before you can join in.
So all of this combined, it's not ideal going to. I guess Forest will have the same issue in that they made signings that won't be able to be involved, but it can't change the way you approach a match like this, because you're one game away from getting somewhere that City don't get very often in the FA Cup.
Yeah, a fantastic opportunity. Lads should be, me included, all looking forward to it, all relishing the challenge of going up there, putting on a performance to try and get the outcome that we want. So yeah, it's a terrific occasion for the club. What
did you make of the first game? It was a game that you had a large element of control in, albeit that it didn't look like either team was creating a lot of chances in it.
Yeah, I thought the lads performed well, to be fair. I thought we defended well, we pressed well at times. I thought we then showed real good bravery to play and try and control the game that we want. And yeah, I thought I know the lads were disappointed afterwards to draw it. So again, I think that we have to take the confidence from that and understand going up there's a different challenge, one that we have to adapt, we have to be smart, and we have to be ready to to go and try and impose ourselves on the game again.
Yeah, and obviously you've got to beat Forest, but the carrot of playing Man United at home, were you to win it, is that a big motivating factor for you or the players?
Look, it's if you get through, it's a great, obviously, opportunity to to play against such a huge club and terrific occasion for the club. But my message will be, look, we have to concentrate on Wednesday. That's a big enough challenge in itself.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
So did Matty have the knock before the game on Friday?
During.
Oh, we got it during and then got through, because obviously Taylor came on. Yeah, okay, right. So is that one that you got to assess today? And then...
Yeah, he's going to try and see how he goes, to be fair. So it's one of those, he's obviously a history of a few injuries, but I think he's also incredibly aware of his own body and what he can and can't do. That's why we spoke to him during the game, and he was fine to carry on. But obviously, you wake up the next day and you feel a little bit different. But he feels quite positive, quite confident about it. But like I said, we have to see how he responds today.
Okay. With Hayden, because he hasn't had any minutes, hasn't played any 21s. That is quite a big call then to put him into a team. And obviously, I'm not trying to go say one way.
You're picking the team, yeah.
Well, but it's because obviously I'm sort of mentally weighing up sort of left-sided options. But like, how much of a challenge is that for if he was to do that? How big a challenge is that, or do you kind of see him being capable of it?
Both, I think. I think he's. I've been impressed with the bits I've seen in training, to be fair, and like I said, he's had to be patient. But again, I think he's shown the qualities. He's physically he's aggressive. He's got good quality on the ball. Technically very good. So he's had to be patient. Obviously, playing against the Premier League side at that level is a challenge for anybody. Obviously, even more so when you've not played in a little while. But to be fair to him, he's been working hard in training. The sports science guys top him up and do extras at the end of it. So yeah, it's one of those. If he plays, I'll have to have a look at that one as well. I'm sure he'll be ready for it.
Have you got an idea in your head on the 11, or is that literally going to be decided in the next 24 hours? I know you're going to tell them probably tomorrow, but have you got a rough idea of what the 11 looks like? Or because of the absences, you're still maybe figuring it out slightly? Yeah,
I've got a rough idea. The first thing I did, the second Friday finishes, you dissect that quickly, and then it's right. What does the next game look like? What we're picking. So yeah, I spend the whole weekend. It goes through my head constantly, and then I put it up on the board this morning. Leave it up there, have a look at it, and then obviously see, kind of assess where everybody's at this morning. So I've got a rough idea at the minute, yeah. But again, until we know where the lads are at and how everybody is, obviously we won't finalise anything.
On the sort of the concept of emotion, and Ed touched on it there, where you the game Friday is obviously of huge relevance, but at the same time there's an element of having to park it and move on and stay on a level mentally. But there must be an element within the squad of frustration with how they played and then wanting a reaction to that. That's surely emotion as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. It's in how you channel it. I think you have to channel it in actions rather than chasing outcomes. I think that's the biggest bit for me. So rather than chasing playing well, chase the actions that will get you that. So, doing the basics really well, running hard, thinking quickly, executing things with, the highest level of detail that you can. That will then get you what you want. So again, of course, emotion, have to be really careful with emotion. I think sometimes it sounds like when I talk, I don't want people to be emotional, which is not the case at all. I want lads, which I see in the change room after the game Friday, that are fully invested emotionally. They care. It hurts them. They're disappointed. They're frustrated. All the things you spoke about. But it's then in terms of how you control that, because I think that's the most important bit. When you step on the pitch, if you go and play purely off emotion, I think it can lead to things that are rash or a lack of discipline in certain bits. So of course we want people that are fully emotional, but at the same point it's where they're in control of it.
Given how much of Friday do you kind of put in a wider context, or because Leeds was so good, and I think we're all in agreement it was a game they were really, really good, do you kind of have to then almost like that was the primary factor, or was there elements of Friday that concerned you in a wider sense?
No, I wouldn't say I left the game concerned. I think, like I said, what have I done, 17 games, 18 games?
Yeah, 17.
17. When you look at it for 16 of those, the lads have been terrific in terms of, just the progress they've made. And it's not new for me. And I think if you look at a lot of other managers, I think that are new in, I think when you make changes and when you challenge them to do things they've never done, that takes time. And then I keep talking about training, but that is one element where we don't get any learning from purely because we don't do it. So again, I think, we talk around like the learning in game, the lads have been incredible in terms of being brave enough to try and implement what we've asked them to, things like the build-up. And I spoke with Daniel Farker after the game on Friday, and he was genuinely concerned going into the game given how we'd been performing against Coventry and Forest. So I think we're at a stage where we've consistently performed to a good level. Lads have really progressed in so many areas that we've asked them to. At some point you're going to have a bad day, and unfortunately for us that was Friday against one of the probably the strongest sides in the division. But at the same point, again, I think bigger picture stuff, you have to be able to step back and understand where we're at in the journey and understand it. It's going to take a little bit of time. It's not going to be smooth, but of course we want it now. We want to change it now. We want to perform to the highest level, and we want to get results now. I think that's the biggest bit. But I know it will come because of how honest the lads are, how much they go away disappointed now and they didn't hit the level that we're capable of. So that if they're going away and we've got no solutions, then I think you're in trouble.
What do you think from the first game stood out the most for you that you then want to replicate on Wednesday? Whether that be tactical, whether that be behavioural, whether it be something you did in certain areas, like what was what were the thing or things that stood out for you from that game?
Yeah, probably too. I thought the way we pressed was good. I thought in terms of on the front foot there, especially first half, I thought in terms of forcing them back into block and then the control that we showed with the ball. I thought we had decent amount of possession in their half of the pitch. It wasn't in the back half. It was quite, high up. So I thought from that perspective there was they were probably the two key things for me, and the behaviour stuff which we'd shown in the previous games against West Ham. So again, I think that that for me is the bit that we have to replicate. That the bravery, the discipline, the focus that we've showed so far, they have to be maximum.
I promise I'm not trying to pick the team or goad you into revealing state secrets here. But if Matty can't play, hypothetically, which we hope he can play, but if he can't, I think that's all right. If he can't play, is moving Jason into a deeper role, whether it be this game or another game or whatever, is that a consideration, or do you see him higher up the pitch all the time? No,
we can move him. Obviously, we started him there against QPR. I think what he does a terrific job of is obviously triggering the press for us. I think he's really good at that. So in terms of when you look at his strengths and his running capacity, which are incredible, that's why I think he's been quite effective higher up. And I do think he'll score goals. I think that's the big bit in terms of the next part that we have to add to his game is that that creating and scoring goals. So arriving in the box. The landing on things on second phases, for example. Is it the Norwich goal that jumps to mind that he scored? That he should be scoring more like that, which I know he's capable of. But at the same point, he's a good footballer. So again, I think you can move in deeper, you can play him lower. And we've other options. Kingy's one that obviously wanting to play as well. His attitude, his application, his drive and desire is terrific in training. So he's one that obviously is in consideration as well.
Last one for me. I appreciate obviously it's a very small sample size because it was sort of the tail end of Coventry and then Leeds with all the difficulties. But Tommy on the left and Naki, how did you kind of feel? Were there elements of that you saw we can keep doing with that, or is that one of them where maybe we've got to leave that for another day?
Yeah, I think it. Excuse me. I think it's one we'll look at again in the future. I'm not. I think it's difficult in the type of game. I thought in terms of their press was excellent on Friday. So in terms of the link up, the relationship, having probably the level of control that we'd want to find out more about that relationship was quite difficult to make a real honest, fair assessment of it. So I wouldn't rule out anything in terms of putting people in different slots and relationships. I think it's knowing the players' strengths and then knowing what we need to get success in each game.
Thanks, Sam.
Cheers. Hi, Liam. Moving forward to Wednesday, obviously, you say you had disappointments after the game on Friday, but are you excited about the prospects of potentially going up there, causing an FA Cup upset, and what are the team feeling as well?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I think if you're not excited and you can't look forward to an opportunity and a challenge like what we're facing on Wednesday, then you probably shouldn't be involved in the game. So I can't wait. I think it's a great opportunity to go up there and test ourselves again, like we did with the West Ham one. To go and do it again against a high-level opposition. So the lads are probably only in the last hour, so I haven't actually seen them yet because I've been busy. But I have to say, for a group that they're so honest. They're so when I say about honest, they'll reflect very similarly to like I did on Friday. But what they then do is they're able to then come in and move on quickly because that's the nature of the beast, right? So again, I know they'll be excited. They'll be looking forward to it, and I'm sure they'll have families and friends going and want to do them proud as well.
And one group who definitely will be excited, the supporters. Obviously, you mentioned the West Ham game. They were phenomenal for you up there, weren't they? And obviously in the return leg, and then the first game against Nottingham Forest. What's your message to them?
Yeah, same again. I think we'll go up there and give everything we've got, and I think that's the important bit. The starting point has to be that how hard we're willing to work, the competitive edge, the controlled aggression that we have to show, and then the quality. And again, I think that it's going to be a noisy place. So the more they can get behind us, the more noise they can make. It'll definitely be a big help for us. That's for sure.
Brilliant. Best of luck. Thank you.
Yes. Following on from what Ross was saying, I know Ed touched on Wednesday night, and obviously your focus has to be the game, as are the players. But for the fans, the opportunity to give them another big occasion. Obviously, they enjoyed that one in the League Cup 6 years ago, but to give them potentially the opportunity for another great night like that, what does that mean, or what would that mean to you and then the group of players?
That'd be incredible. It'd be incredible, and there's a level of responsibility with that. So again, I think in terms of going up and giving a really strong account for ourselves and making sure that we give absolutely everything for however long it takes in the game from the start to the final whistle, making sure we do everything in our power to try and to try and get through, and that's what the game's about, right? The game's about memories and creating memories, whether it be for older people, whether it be for fathers and sons, fathers and daughters, whatever it is. I think it's about creating memories. So I think that'll be one. We're fortunate to create memories for people in the West Ham game, so hopefully we can go up there and create some more on Wednesday.
And Forest themselves, James just touched on what you learnt about your side, but from what's one thing or the most useful thing you learnt from the first game that you think might help you on Wednesday night?
I'll give you my plans away now. I think it's slightly different. They've obviously got some players back from AFCON as well, so I think in terms of their selection might look slightly different. So again, I thought when you looked at it, Morgan Gibbs-White was one that came on, had a big impact, I thought, in the first leg. So again, being prepared, if he plays, I think is another key part for us. But it's controlling us. I think that's we can't control. Got no idea what team they're going to pick, how he's going to set up, because they might tweak and change off the back of the first leg. So we have to be prepared for those those tweaks and ultimately go up and be the best version of ourselves. That's the challenge for us.
And having gone to West Ham and put in that kind of performance, how much confidence does that give you as a coach and as a group of players that obviously you can go to the City Ground on Wednesday and get the result that you want? Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, you have to use those experiences. Talk a lot around learning from experiences, good and bad. And again, that was obviously an extremely positive one that we have to take all the learning from that. Why was it a good day? Why was it a good experience? What did we do to allow us to to come to get the draw there and use those experiences again. I think I'm really big on that. It's really important for us to to suck out all experience from every occasion that we have. Because then you can call on it again when you're in that moment, like we will do on Wednesday.